This is Fire Prevention Week, where we talk a lot about fire safety and making sure that we know how to stay safe from fire in our school and also in our home, right? My name is Wendy, and I am a teacher that works for the fire department. So I'm glad to see all your smiling faces this morning. And I'm going to introduce my friend firefighter Malloy. He's going to read you 2 stories. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here comes firefighter.
Good morning, everybody. So today I got 2 books I'm going to read to you. The first one is A Day in the Life of a Firefighter. And then the second one is Curious George and the Firefighters. So we're going to read this one first, A Day in the Life of a Firefighter. Can everybody see that? All right, A Day in the Life of a Firefighter. Rob Green packs clean clothes and says goodbye to his family. Rob is a firefighter. At 8 a.m. at the fire station, he puts his clothes in a locker. Rob is on duty for 24 hours. So there's Rob saying goodbye to his family in the morning and putting his stuff in his locker because he's got to stay there all day. Chief Myers gives firefighters jobs for the day. In case of a fire, Rob is on rescue. Rob gets other jobs too. Check the hoses and the nozzles and cook supper. A new restaurant needs to be inspected this morning, Chief Myers says, and a 2nd grade class is coming to visit for lunch. There's Chief Myers and the fire nozzle that Rob has to check, and then the firefighters listening to him for their jobs for the day. Rob checks the nozzles, and nozzles change the way water sprays out of the hose. All the nozzles are working. Pete turns on the engine. Is there enough gas? And Lewis checks the oil level. So there's Rob checking the nozzle on the hose that's attached to the fire engine up here. And here he is checking the fuel level in the truck in the morning, and then checking the oil level to make sure it's all running right. 10:30 a.m. Rob and Pete inspect the restaurant. Is the fire exit light on? Where's the fire extinguisher? And do the sprinklers work? So there they are at the restaurant, checking out the fire escape to make sure everybody can get out safe, checking to make sure there's a fire extinguisher in the kitchen and fire sprinklers in case there's a fire, they can help put the fire out. 12 p.m. It's lunchtime. Luis tells about his fishing trip. He caught enough to share. Later, Rob will cook the fish for supper. So there they are, having lunch together because they all live there together for 24 hours. 1:30 p.m. Miss Hill's class visits the fire station. Where is the siren? Rob shows the class what he wears to a fire. This is an air pack. Remember, Pete says, in a room full of smoke, stay near the floor. So there they are looking at the fire engine. There's the siren on the front right there. And then there's Rob in his full gear and his air pack to protect him from the smoke. And then they're showing the kids stay low in a fire just in case, because you don't want to inhale any smoke. It is almost supper time. Rob cooks in the firehouse kitchen. Fried fish for 12 hungry firefighters. 6 p.m. Ring, ring, ring. The fire alarm goes off. Everybody scrambles. There he is, cooking dinner for everybody so that they can eat. And then the fire alarm goes off. They all had to run to the truck from the dinner table. They didn't even get to finish. Rob is ready to go. The fire engine roars out of the station with the siren blaring. There he goes. He runs to the truck and everybody jumps on and they get out quick. Pete puts his mask on and takes the attack line to the door and waits. Rob is on rescue. Michelle's dog Pickles is still in the house. So there's Pete. He got the attack hose ready to go put out the fire, and he's wearing his air mask so he can breathe in the smoke. And then here's the family. They're all outside. They got out. which was good. They got to be safe, but the dog didn't get out with them, so he's still inside. Rob goes in first. He hears a bark. He finds Pickles in the den. Rob takes Pickles out to Michelle. There he goes. There's Pickles. He saved him. Pete has a radio inside his helmet. Attack line 1, go. Pete goes in. Soon water will rush out of the hose. There goes Pete. He's got the hose with him with the nozzle, and he's staying low so he can stay out of the smoke and not breathe any of that in. The fire is out. Rob folds the hose. Lewis helps with the cleanup. At 8 p.m., the chief reports the house is safe. So there's Rob. They took the attack line back to the truck to repack it, so it's ready to go for the next fire. Everyone's cleaning up. And then the fire chief told the family that everything is safe, so they can go back in. Back at the station, everything is cleaned. The hose, the truck, and the firefighters. 10:45 p.m. Rob cooks again. At last, the firefighters get to eat their fish dinner. Then it's time for bed. So they get back and they clean the hose because it got all dirty at the fire. They clean themselves, and then they finally get to eat really, really late. Rob sleeps at the station. Before he falls asleep, Rob thinks about Michelle and Pickles. He smiles. He has the best job in the world. There he is, asleep. The end. I hope you liked that one. The next one we're reading is Curious George and the Firefighters. All right. This is George. He was a good little monkey and is always very curious. Today, George and his friend, the man with the yellow hat, joined Mrs. Gray and her class on a field trip to the fire station. So there we are. There's George and the man in the yellow hat, and they're visiting Fire Station 3. The fire chief was waiting for them, right next to a big red fire truck. "Welcome," he said, and he led everyone upstairs to begin their tour. There was a kitchen with a big table, and there were snacks for everyone. The fire chief told them all about being a firefighter. George tried hard to pay attention, but there were so many things for a little monkey to explore, like that shiny silver pole in the corner. So there's the class with the fire chief, and they're looking at the fire truck, and then they're checking out the station over here where the firefighters eat and sleep, and a pole to help them get downstairs quickly if there's a fire. Why, it went back downstairs. There was a great big fire truck. There was a map of the city, and there was a whole wall full of coats and hats and big black boots. George had an idea. First, he stepped into a pair of boots. Next, he picked out a helmet. And finally, George put on a jacket. He was a firefighter. Suddenly, bring! So there's George coming down the pole to get downstairs quick. And he went over to these uniforms and put on all the fire gear. He's pretending he's a firefighter. All the firefighters rushed in. "This isn't my helmet," said one. "My boots are too big," said another. "Hurry, hurry," called the fire chief. A bright red light on the map of the city told them just where the fire was. There was no time to waste. One by one, the firefighters jumped into the fire truck, and so did George. There they are, putting on all their gear really quick so they can get out fast. But it's all mixed up because George took some of it. The fire truck with all the firefighters sped out of the firehouse, and so did George. And the siren screamed and its lights flashed. The truck turned right, and then it turned left, and George held on tight. There they go, really fast down the road with the fire chief following them. And Spot the fire dog back here. Soon the fire truck and all the firefighters pulled up to a pizza parlor on Main Street. Smoke was coming out of a window in the back, and a crowd was gathering on the street. "Thank goodness you're here," cried the cook. The firefighters rushed off the truck, and they started unwinding their hoses. They knew just what to do, and George was ready to help. He climbed up on the hose reel. There they are. Here's the pizza shop with all the smoke in the windows. And then all the firefighters are getting ready. They're taking the hose off the truck. One of the firefighters saw George trying to help, and he took George by the arm and led him out of the way. "A fire is no place for a monkey," he said to George. "You stay here where it's safe." George felt terrible. George sat on the bench and looked around. Next to him on the ground was a bucket full of balls. George reached in and took one out. It fit in his hand just right, like an apple he'd picked for a snack. Oh, they led him away from the truck so he doesn't get hurt while they're working on putting out the fire. But he's over here now. I think he's going to play a little bit. A little girl was watching George. He tried to give her the ball, but she was too frightened. George took another ball and another. "Look," a boy said, "that monkey is juggling." The boy took a ball from the cage and tossed it to George, but it went way too high. George climbed up onto the fire truck to get it. So there he is playing with some baseballs, and they're throwing them around. But it looks like he climbed back up on the fire engine. Now George has 4 balls to juggle. He threw the balls higher and higher. He juggled with his hands. He juggled with his feet. He could do all kinds of tricks. The boy threw another ball to George. George threw a ball back to the boy. The little girl reached down and picked up a ball too. Soon all the children were throwing and catching back and forth. Look at him juggling up on top of the fire truck. And now he's got all the kids playing in the park with him. The fire chief came back to tell everyone the fire was out. Just then the little girl laughed and said, "Look, Mommy, a fire monkey." "Hey," called the fire chief, "what are you doing up there?" "What a wonderful idea," the little girl's mother said to the fire chief, "bringing this brave little monkey to help the children who were frightened." "Oh," said the fire chief, "well, thank you." There's George up on the fire truck again, and he was distracting all the kids and making sure they had fun. Before long, the fire truck was back at the firehouse, where a familiar voice called, "George!" It was the man with the yellow hat. "This little monkey had quite an adventure," said one of the firefighters. "Is everyone all right?" asked Mrs. Gray. "Yes, it was just a small fire," said the fire chief, "and George was a big help." Now the field trip was coming to an end, but there was one more treat in store. There they are, back at the firehouse. Everybody's taking all their gear off and cleaning up again. All the children got to take a ride around the neighborhood on the shiny red fire truck. And they each got their very own fire helmet. Even George, who was just the right size for a brave little monkey. Look at that. They all got to ride on the fire truck. The end. Thank you all for coming and letting me read to you. Everybody have a good day in school.
Hey, y'all, let's clap for Malloy. Come in here.
Thank you, everybody.
Clapping.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Didn't
Absolutely.
he do a good job, boys and girls?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. You did
Absolutely.
a good job.
Everybody have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. Teachers, would you remember to take just a second and put your info in the chat? We want to make sure that we're counting everybody that's participating, but also we want to make sure that we have your contact info so we can do this again sometime soon. Thank you so much for visiting with us today. Thank you for reading these 2 stories. I'm going to remind you what they were. A Day in the Life of a Firefighter and Curious George. I think that's backwards. Curious George. We love Curious George. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.